Is it a good idea to Coyote swap a V6 Mustang? Let's find out. Well, it's 2025 and the 5th generation Mustang is now 20 years old. The car's retro-futuristic styling made it a hit with the public, but its engine options lagged in performance compared to its competitors. To fix this, Ford introduced a new 5-liter dual overhead cam V8 in 2011, codenamed Coyote. The engine was a massive technological leap forward over the previous 4.6-liter V8, making it a popular option for engine swaps. And if you look at YouTube, examples abound of people who have swapped this engine into all kinds of cars. But perhaps surprisingly, the 05 to 09 Mustang doesn't seem to be a particularly popular choice, especially the 4-liter V6 variant. I would have thought it would have been a more popular option given that these cars are starting to bottom out in value. You can find used 4-liter Mustangs all day on the used market for around $5,000 or even less. And even the 4.6-liter GT is starting to pop up for under $10,000. So when I started researching this video, I didn't find as much information as I was hoping for. And while there were some good YouTube videos on the subject, they either weren't complete or didn't have all the information I was looking for. So I decided to record every detail of this project from start to finish to give other people the guide I never had, so you can benefit from our experience and learn from our mistakes on our new YouTube channel, Uglee Paul's Garage. Hi, I'm Stefan, and this is my 2007 V6 Mustang, seen here sitting in my parents' yard because it doesn't move under its own power, which incidentally is the #1 thing I'm looking for in a car. I won't bore you with the details, suffice it to say that this thing ate transmissions. My dad and I, we tried to rebuild it ourselves, and it didn't end up working out, and in the end I took it up to a transmission shop and spent a lot of money getting it rebuilt. And it worked for about 9 months, and then it crapped out again. And after that, I was just totally fed up with it, and I said, screw it, you know, it's a project car now, and I just parked it. And here it is. And I've never been much of a car guy myself, but lucky for me, I have a dad who's really good with cars, and he's gonna help me do this. In fact, he's honestly the star of the show. He's the one who knows what he's doing, so that's why it's called Uglee Paul's Garage. So yeah, we're gonna stick a Coyote in this Mustang. Try jumping it off the lawnmower. There it goes. And yeah, once we gave it a boost, the engine fired right up. The transmission's still slipping, of course, so we're going to use the riding lawnmower there to give it a push into the garage as I steer. So I'll get into more details about the swap itself in a later video, but for this video we'll focus on the disassembly and getting the old engine out first, or as we like to call it, the easy part. Okay, so starting pretty simple here, we'll start by draining all the fluids from the car. And here we're doing the coolant. We forgot to do the power steering, so we ended up doing that later, but you should probably do it first. It's also a good idea to drain the transmission first so it doesn't leak everywhere when you take it off. So our strategy here is to remove the engine and transmission in one piece. We're not going to separate them. And since we got the lift, our strategy is we're going to drop it out the bottom because we think that's going to be an easier way to do it, which turned out to be correct. But if you're going to be working in a garage that doesn't have a lift, obviously you're going to be doing it a little bit different, where you're going to be pulling it out with an engine hoist from the top. But at this stage of the game, we're just removing anything that's connecting the engine and transmission to the car. And here you see us removing the drive shaft. And it's pretty simple. There's just 4 bolts on either end. In our case, it was a little bit stuck to the flange, so we needed crowbar to just pry it loose, and then it came right off. And here I'm taking off the transmission cross member. Again, pretty simple, just 2 bolts on either side connecting it to the car, and there's a couple bolts underneath it that connect the cross member to the transmission. Here we're taking out the O2 sensors, and these are in a pretty tight space, so it's difficult to get a wrench on them. You can see we've got like a special adapter for the socket wrench, and it's kind of hard for me to show you and get the camera up in there. And now we start to remove the exhaust. And being under the car, most of this stuff is really rusted on there, so it's kind of a pain to get it off. Nothing a little bit of gentle persuasion with the wacky stick won't fix though. The mufflers themselves are held on with these little hangers here, and we have to unbolt all of those to get the muffler out.
You see from this side.
Yeah.
And then there's one over here. It's got to come out. That's another hanger.
This is just single exhaust, so we're not going to be reusing it. I think you could get dual exhaust on a V6 as an option, but mine doesn't have it, so we're going to be converting it to dual. So all this stock exhaust is going to get tossed, and I'm going to have to decide on a new aftermarket exhaust system.
It's out.
Need a hand?
What the heck? What do we got here? One bolt. There's another bolt. That's what it is.
You can see how the muffler kind of has a collared edge there, and we ended up just chiseling away at it, trying to get it loose, trying to get it off there.
Paint torch would be enough heat? No. Not nearly enough. I'm talking cutting pieces out.
You know, I just use an angle grinder.
Well, we could do that too. Oh, there she goes. There she goes. We got her. Got her now.
Just gotta wrestle it.
Watch your toes.
It's out. Okay, so moving back to the transmission, we're trying to get this cross member off, and when we unbolted it from the car, it made the transmission drop a little bit, and that put some weight on it. So we're using a floor jack and a piece of PVC pipe here to lift it up a little bit, take some of the weight off it, so we can wiggle this thing off here. And here we're disconnecting all the connectors for the sensors on the transmission.
There we go. That's what I needed to do. I think it just pops out, from what I remember, like that.
Oh, that's
it.
easy.
Now we could probably get this off, because we've got to get our hands up there and get the sensors off. All this wiring's got to be pulled back wherever it's tied down. Looks like there might be a clip here. No, this is the solenoid. Yeah, this is bolted in here, up on top there. First thing we've got to do is get these off. They look like about a 13. That's a tiny thing.
How cool is that? And all the sensors are on top. And this connector here is a little bit weird. It plugs into a little like recessed lip on the transmission there, and you have to unbolt it. And this part here is the gear select and shift linkage.
You're doing it right, this little clip.
Turning our attention under the hood, we're disconnecting the air intake. Remember to disconnect the MAF sensor.
Just clip on like that, that's it.
Here's the PCM. They're pretty accessible in these cars. It's really easy to unhook it and take it out.
There'll be 3 of them. Okay, well, we'll see. Let's see if I can get the PCM out first. hard enough. It's hard enough with these.
And all the rad hoses need to come off. These have little spring-loaded clamps on them. You got to take a pair of pliers and kind of pull the clamps together to release the tension, and then you can take the hose off. And here we're taking out the power steering reservoir. And like I said earlier, we forgot to drain it, so we have to drain it now. And the degas bottle has to go too.
And you move the lock
you pull
back,
the tab forward.
and then you push that in, and then you can pull this out.
That's throttle position sensor.
Throttle position
And
sensor.
this is why I call it the easy part, because if you know you're not going to reuse this stuff, if it's all going away, you can just take it off indiscriminately and not really worry about keeping tabs of where it all went and how it plugged into each other. So you can basically just start unhooking stuff. All the connectors on the wiring harness and everything, all that stuff can come off.
It's a good thing you're filming this, because you can actually see where the grounds go back on.
Taking stuff apart is easy. It's putting it back together, that's the hard part. So the wiring harness is pinned to the frame with these little plastic tabs, and we're using this this little pickle fork tool to kind of pry them out. And again, we're just disconnecting electrical here. Anything that connects the engine to the car, just disconnect it. Don't worry about it. It's cool. And here we have the fuse box. Underneath the fuse box are a few big like block connectors there. You can see them. And the green one has to come out because it's attached directly to the engine harness. The other two, the white and the gray one, those attached to the body side and they can stay on. I think this is bolted to the frame, so you gotta undo that one. And again, we're just indiscriminately unhooking stuff. This is the PCM. So you find this part of the project goes by pretty quick. And the whole accessory drive on the front of the engine, we're going to take that off before we take the engine out. So here we're taking the serpentine belt off so we can do that, just to get it out of the way, make it easier to pull the engine out. And now we're working on taking off the AC compressor. And like I said, this whole swap was unplanned, so we didn't really know we were going to be doing this. So we didn't actually discharge the system. So we ended up just tying it out of the way rather than trying to remove it and having all the refrigerant bleed out.
Okay.
And since this car is an automatic, it has a couple transmission cooler lines running to the transmission that you have to disconnect. Remember to have a bucket handy underneath them just to catch any transmission fluid that comes out. Yeah, if we pull the engine out, then the exhaust has to come out. And back up to the driver's side accessory bracket. This is the power steering pump and the AC compressor are held on by these aluminum brackets here. So we're unbolting it and we're trying to get everything loose in order to take it off. And I think we forgot to unhook the power steering fluid lines from the pump. So right here, I think we're just taking the pump off and leaving the pump in the engine bay for now, and just getting the bracket out of the way.
Okay, now before you take them all off.
And here we're taking off the EGR. And to be honest, I'm not sure if it was necessary to do this. I don't remember where it connects to. I don't know if it really connects the engine to the car, but we took it off anyway. And these two lines up top here go in the car into your heater core, so got to disconnect those.
That one. This one.
And again, we couldn't bleed the AC system, so we're just tying it off, moving it out of the way, so we have room to drop the engine out.
Pump can stay in there. Don't squeeze. There it goes. Alrighty. A little bit of fuel left in there. And that should come up.
And here we're removing the ignition coil pack. Not strictly necessary, but it helps to make room to get in behind the engine.
In there. It's everywhere. There. That guy.
And we're really getting into the home stretch here. We're taking the wheels off and preparing to drop the K-frame. And to do that, we have to detach it from the wheel hubs. And once you got the wheel off, you have to detach both the tie rods. And our initial strategy with this was to detach the wheel hub at the ball joint. But as you're going to see later, that didn't exactly go as planned. And here you can see what I mean. Once you got the tie rod out of the way, you start taking off the ball joint, and it really does not want to separate. So what we're doing, we're putting a safety stand under the wheel hub and using the weight of the car to push up on the wheel hub and compress the springs in the hope that it'll move the ball joint off the post. But in the end, we just couldn't compress it enough to get it up over the post and get the ball joint off, so we're gonna have to go to plan B here, and that starts with taking off the brake calipers and tying them off and getting them out of the way. And we're gonna remove the wheel hub at the top where it joins the McPherson strut instead. You can see there's two bolts on the top of there holding it on, and those were kind of a pain to get off too, but in the end we had a lot more success doing it this way than we had getting the ball joint off the bottom.
Get it with the air gun. I would imagine. Whoops. Sorry, folks.
And with those two bolts out, you can just swing the whole assembly down and out of the way, and then you just take off the wheel speed sensor, and then the K-frame is fully detached from the car, and you just do the same thing on the other side.
So that's like a...
Now we're disconnecting the steering linkage. This connects the rack on the K-frame to the steering wheel, so it's got to go. And you can see we're having quite a bit of trouble getting the two halves of the U-joint apart. And so we tried to disconnect the other U-joint closer to the firewall instead. And we didn't have much luck with that either. And turns out it was just easier to work on it from underneath the car. We're trying to get the little jaws on the U-joint there to separate, so we put a screwdriver in there and tapped it in, trying to pry them apart, and eventually it did come loose. And the steering shaft is collapsible, so once you get it loose, you can kind of tap it upwards and get it off of the post on the rack.
Will that not collapse? You got it. There it goes. Is it out?
Almost. One more. Yeah, it's off.
Okay, really getting down to it now. We're getting ready to drop the engine out the bottom, and to do that, we got to get the K-frame off, and there's 4 bolts, 2 in the front, 2 in the back on each side of the car that are holding it on. And right now we just want to crack them loose. We don't want to We don't want to take them all the way out because that's what's keeping the engine from dropping on our heads. After that, we can put some jack stands under the car to support the engine and the transmission. And with those jack stands supporting the weight, we can take the bolts out completely and then lift the body of the car off of the engine. And here we go. We can finally start lifting the car up.
Yep, whoa, stop.
You're going to want to do this slowly and carefully and make sure the engine's not going to hit on anything. Make sure there's no wires or hoses that you're getting caught on. We definitely had a few of those, so we're unhooking them here.
Just be able to pull it off, right? I don't think there's anything holding that on.
Yeah, there is.
It's just a vacuum line, or?
Yeah, it's a vacuum line. Okay, now I can see what these are. It's a little clip with little clips like this, and it goes around and comes out, and it hooks on like that. So you've got to spread the clips out to be able to pull that out.
These, I think, pop off, I want to say.
Well, that's
It's a cover.
that's what I was thinking. If I can pop that off somehow, but it doesn't really want to come off. Yep, there she goes.
That's how it comes.
It was at this point that we realized that the transmission cooler lines were in the way and that the engine was going to catch on them if we keep moving the car up. So we had to find a way to kind of finagle them out of there to get some clearance for the engine to drop out.
You just twist it a little bit the other way.
Here we go. Oh, we might get lucky. If we lift the car up, they might just come up enough to get them by that thing. Let's try it.
Okay, stop.
Hold on.
Turns out we didn't have to remove them completely. They're still attached to the cooler in front of the radiator, but we just got them out of the way enough to make enough space for the engine to come out.
Yeah,
And after lots of checking and double checking and raising and lowering, we finally got the engine completely disconnected and were able to lift the body right off it. And that's it. She's out. And that's how you delete your V6. And that's also the end of the easy part. For now, all that's left to do is undo the engine mounts and get this K-frame off. On the next episode of Uglee Paul's Garage, we get down to the nitty-gritty and talk about Coyote swaps and what we plan to do with this car. But that is it for now. Please remember to leave a like, comment, or subscribe if you like the video. Or don't, you're capable of independent thought. And we will see you next time. Stay ugly, my friends.